So that again too was another. So that was probably our stronghold, or that was probably our government right there. That they then just came in, took over, and set their stuff up. So but Ottawa, the Rideau Canal, all those things have been renamed. Like that Rideau Canal was probably huge.
Yeah, everywhere I was going, I was like, man, it seems like the rivers is never ending around Ottawa.
That's right. Well, this water is life, right? Water is everywhere,
sense.
right? Yeah. Hey, bro, how are you doing? Good?
Yeah.
There's a lot more. Let's rise and do our honors. Face the east. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth. Peace. Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
guide.
And my salvation. By night. And by day.
And
Through His holy prophet.
holy prophet.
Noble Juali. Islam.
Yeah. That's funny you brought talking about like lane lines around here. I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately. Ross Ben.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about Philadelphia and downs there. We're
Yeah,
to Little Dipper.
Yeah, it's incredible, but this is what I think I'm starting to realize, and I think these are some of the things that I was starting to look at. Basically, our fall that brings us into this physical part, the way we ascend is by using the same physical part to sort of boost us back up. And what they've done is they've just disrupted that, the foods and all those things that were supposed to bring us up. That's why that's the major part that's keeping us in this lower, the food and the water, right? It's like sort of like the spell that's keeping you here. Right?
Plus, they re-educated everybody.
What?
The Indians, they couldn't have their culture.
Yeah.
They basically programmed everything out of their children.
It's called colonization.
Yeah. They just wiped out their whole history.
No, but the last part and in conjunction with that too, though, the land gives you energy too.
Right.
Right.
That's
And
where you get the
then
red
that's
clay.
what and that's why you notice Eglinton and you got to know that this Eglinton and Marley area here where we've got our little place, it's not a good energy. You know what I mean? Yorkville, Rosedale, Forest Hill, those places had the real natural indigenous, and that's where they planted the Eaton Center. You got to know that Old City Hall is smack dab in the center of all goodness. Right there, you know that.
You got to do all the evil.
Right? You know that. You know that, right?
When you talk about energy, you talk about magnetic energy or just...
Well, but you know that there are places, like for example, they have a place somewhere in Utah, some magnetic hill. Your car gets dragged up the hill from the magnetic way lines that are below, because the Earth has a magnetic field too, right? So,
Start up with our readings to be read every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, please give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Juali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Islam. These are the instructions from your holy prophet Noble Juali. Be faithful unto your forefathers' divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is now on, but the weak comprehend it not. The end of time is drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Juali, and that And that is why many hearts have been turned to stone, and many have eyes to see but cannot see, ears to hear but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah would bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet Noble Jew Ali. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the last few years. Islam. So today is pretty much open day. We're at class number 22, so we're winding down right now. You were talking about we had to do a class on something a little while ago.
Well, there's a couple of them just on
So we could throw out some of those stuff
remembering
today.
The cautionary tale of undertaking this transformation and this reclamation and this realigning oneself that we're dealing with. I think Taj said it best in one of his videos, that a lot of the times in your interactions as you're walking in the streets, you will pass people. Let's call them, you'll pass your own brothers and sisters, but let's say you will pass the colonizer, the European, and he'll be smiling at you. And he'll be top of the morning to you, that kind of thing. Underneath it all, they don't have to, they treat you like that because they know ultimately that they've got full control, right? We're in this position of being colonized and in servitude. And I preface that and say that just to tie into the fact that when you decide to then separate from them, there's going to be some issues. They're not looking to give this up lightly, and I think each one of us to a man has understood that this should just need to be proclaimed, and that's it. But that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems you go in there and you say you're indigenous, can I get taxes off? You got a whole set of nonsense to go through.
Right.
Right? And some of the bigger buys, you gotta fill out some form, some bullshit. We were just talking about this earlier today. We keep realizing and thinking that we have to go back to these people for something. No, all we have to do is exercise, right? But so what that was in conjunction with is we've had a couple of cases of people right now who have been exercising as Moors, but in my mind, not going to and I have a habit of doing this too. I have a real habit of doing 7/8 of the work and then leaving 1/8 left to just sort of hopefully let it dribbles to the end. But it's weird. That's just how I am. I can get big chunks of it done, but then there's little parts that just sort of keep me. And so I'm tying this in now with a couple of Moors who have been exercising in these fraudulent tribunals where they've been having some issues, and in my mind, not doing due diligence to the process, which what I sense it's like putting a wild animal into a corner and then not putting him out of his misery. If you don't do that, you're gonna get bit. And so I wanted Cujo to speak on the fact that we have to see this, and it's funny, Cujo, because I remember at the very beginning when I came into this, you kept telling me and prefacing and telling me, only bite what you can, only bite what you can chew. Take this slowly. It's not about going to reclaim a nation the first day you walk in here, or walking into a car lot and driving off with a car,
Yeah.
or walking into an empty house and owning it. You're gonna end up in jail. You're gonna end up shot. So, and not that has anything to do with these situations, but I think it parallels them, that if you're in a situation and you got into it in the straw, and you might be looking at some serious jail time, and possibly if you're not able to exercise to the level where you can get them to basically understand that they have no rights over you, it might be better for you to maybe, sign off on one of their bounty men and maybe pay some fiat, since we know about all those illusions,
right,
to so hopefully mitigate some of that stuff, rather than sort of going the route of doing some writs, and then sort of when basically, because they have to bluster and pretend like they're the law, they're gonna do their shit where they're gonna do their kangaroo court shit and find you guilty anyways. But the process really comes in the upper courts. So
right,
if you don't go through those steps of the appeals, which may seem more difficult, but really they're not, you're just getting closer sort of to the truth.
right.
And
then also
just to
too,
finish,
yeah.
you may find yourselves getting much more seriously injured than if you just
Would've did it.
maybe went and pled guilty.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? I'll plead guilty. Okay, we'll give you 30 days time served.
yeah, yeah,
Versus fight the shit, they might give you a little 5 years.
yeah.
Just because
you fought it.
And not only that,
Yeah.
because you're making issues, and you know how I'm tying this in, right, Supreme?
I think it's very important to note that it's the ones that you've already been in trouble before you came onto the science.
Right.
So you got in trouble in your straw man.
So they
Now
already
you're
have
trying to
they
go
have a
back.
record.
Yeah, now you're trying to go back using your Morse information. Not to say that you can't, but it's a lot more difficult because when you got in trouble in
they
the
have a
first
track
place,
record, yeah.
when you got in trouble in the first place, you were identifying as a straw.
Right.
Not
Willingly.
Willingly,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But not to say something were to happen now, where you're from the get-go saying Aboriginal Indigenous Moorish American.
Yeah.
Now you're going back and saying, well, this is what I am, and it just muddies the waters.
But it's beautiful that you mentioned that, because one of the things that I think we're all, and if we can each take a moment to pause, have we all realized that once we start dropping our national names, there's a different perspective to how shit goes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if I start off by saying I'm a Moor, shit's different
From
when I
the
start.
start,
From the
yeah,
get-go.
yeah.
Shit doesn't go as far.
Yeah.
And where your problem is when you're coming into it in that bent over position as a corporation,
Yeah.
and then trying to stand up from that.
Yeah.
Right.
Because somewhere along those lines, you signed into a contract,
Yeah.
verbally or physically, which then has you having to, right? And then all of the indoctrination processes, which also hold you to those things, make it much more difficult, right? Because you're coming at it from a different mindset.
Right.
But it also comes down from experience and confidence.
Yeah.
You might have the knowledge, right? But when you step into the court, it's intimidating.
Yeah.
So you have all the knowledge.
The knowledge, but it means nothing if-
after you leave, you say, "Oh, I should have said
I should have said this, I should have said
that.
that.
I should have said."
Yeah.
But you
Wow.
know the stuff, right? And they sit there and they know what you're talking about.
Right.
They know what you're talking about. They won't admit it. As you go through the process, they know the angle that you're coming at, but they have to stop you.
Right.
And I agree with you, but let's look at how these things have been so beautifully organized by our forefathers and the Prophet. The writs themselves, if they're written properly, give you the encyclopedias of knowledge that you then need, that you can then access to have the key points.
Right.
I.e., you don't have to go in there and have an encyclopedia worth of knowledge. You just have to say, where's your delegation of authority order? That sums up a whole library full of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just need to know some key points. Now, they'll get you in the side angles,
Yeah.
but ultimately, if you get those key points down, which are in your writs,
Yeah, you stay on the lane. Yeah.
you
Don't
say
say
that I'm
anything.
not the all caps.
Yeah.
I'm not. Who are you? I am this.
Yeah.
Those three.
Objection.
Objection for the record. For the fucking record. Objection. If you get into that triangle, and this is one of the things, and
The whole
mentioning here,
Trinity,
the
yeah.
triangle
The whole Trinity.
is to me, you see what I've noticed that happens too with what they've done is they keep using the symbols that the Prophet talked about in the Quran, the symbols and the rites to help empower their stuff, while disconnecting us from our stuff.
Yeah.
Just take a look. I'll ask you guys this one thing. Go around and see how many companies either have a circle, a square, or a triangle
And then their logo.
in their logo.
Yeah.
All the major ones.
How many times 999 or 99 is used in money? 4.99,
Yeah.
8.99. How come you just don't make it 5?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How come it's always 6.49 or 8.99? Some game, that's $9.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What-
it's psychological.
Yeah, what's the
You
penny?
think-
Yeah.
you think
But you're thinking it's psychological, but wait a minute, but what I'm
You're
saying
seeing
is,
the 4 instead of seeing the 5.
no, but here's what I'm saying, the next level is, you're missing the fact that it's the 9.
9 that they keep using.
Yeah.
It's the 9.
Yeah.
That's the
Matriarch-
power.
Matriarch rules, yeah.
Huh?
Matriarch rules.
That's the power.
And then, but like he's saying, but they'll have you thinking like where you're at, thinking
Yeah.
like, oh, it's for advertisement purposes.
Right.
Completely throwing you off
Yeah.
track. That
Yeah.
it's actually about the 9.
Right.
It
That's
has
right.
nothing to do with
That's right.
advertising.
With anything, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. You know, certain colors.
Yeah.
Look at our flag color. Look at Canada's color.
Yeah.
Look at the so-called continental colors. All of these things, those are all power things that they. And this is what I start to realize too, because I'm going through some stuff with my Empress's offspring, and the continual and the continued degradation of the schooling system.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
Really-
just. It's just.
That's a whole
well,
mess.
they
Yeah.
go to
That's a
school
whole
like
mess.
We talked about that
learning
last
and
night.
like I thought things were bad for me
Well,
when
for
I used to
what-
battle with my parents. The 3
About
R's. My
board,
parents
yeah,
used
yeah.
to beat me up with the 3
Yeah.
R's. I was like, what the hell? These guys must have been geniuses.
Yeah.
And now I realize when I'm dealing with these guys, they were telling me, some of the guys, they asked the guy to go spell fish. He couldn't, he was a grade 10 or something, he couldn't spell fish
Yeah.
on the board. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like just one of these crazy, it was in cooking class. The guy said, okay, go put fish on the board. The guy couldn't spell fish.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is the level that they've gotten them to.
Yeah.
And you know what's even worse? Even to step outside of the schooling system is that a lot of not a lot, I'd say 90% of all the children are into the technology, so they all have phones,
Yep.
they all got computers, whatever. But now they don't even have to know how to spell the word.
Yeah.
Because autocorrect is
Autocorrect
there.
is there, yeah,
So
yeah.
if they're 3 or 4 letters off,
It'll
or
tell
maybe
them.
it's
Yeah.
got it, like bam, you hit the word and it's changed.
But then, you gotta know the word, because it might give you 3 words and then you're stuck.
Yeah, and to me it's crazy when you say that. I'm like, listen, but it's like children don't have to know how to spell anymore.
Yeah.
As long as they can type, they can text, and they're familiar with the word, they're good to go.
The
And then
school
we-
system isn't about teaching, it's about programming.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
straight
about
programming, yep.
When you see authority, don't question it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Don't question authority, just follow.
But you
Just
see
stand
what
in line.
But you see what I think has happened with what we're observing now, and Kuja and I were talking about this, and I'll mention it to the rest of the Moors here. America, England, and Canada, well, all 3 of them are changing the face on the $20 bill.
Yeah.
And I don't know if any of you have keyed in on this, but something is being said. Something is being enacted here with that. How come it's America, England, and Canada?
Yeah.
Those 3 are putting and all of them on the $20 bill.
On the 20.
On the 20.
And then we're talking about the prophecy, with Juali saying that we're gonna step over 20s.
Just walk right over them.
So it's like, of all the bills to use to change, you have these 3, de facto nations saying that they're gonna make the change to this specific one bill, all at the same
But
time.
you see, now I want to step through that with you, because remember Sanra was saying that they were changing the face to Harriet Tubman, who freed the slaves.
Yeah.
And I was having a real time trying to understand what the hell that they were trying to say to me, because, okay, well, they're trying to free the slaves, so this should be, something that should be there to be sort of lauded and commemorated. And then I thought, well, what other famous black activists do we have?
Yeah.
And I couldn't think of one. Who?
What? You have, you call it Marcus Garvey.
I'm talking black.
Check this out.
Yeah, and the reason why I say
The
that,
first-
the reason why I say that, because it
the
was
first
interesting to me.
American president.
The reason, no, I'm saying, you could look at people like they would say Condoleezza Rice, she was Secretary of State, people that
Yeah,
you could look
people
up
who
to.
you- yeah,
I'm saying that
yeah.
you could look up to, but I start to realize, we ain't got shit,
Yeah.
to the most part. We have like Martin Luther King, and we have maybe Malcolm X,
Yeah.
and then Well,
Well,
Yeah, when
I
you start
give
getting
you
into those people, you're
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then what I'm saying, then you start really jumping into the entertainment
Yeah.
area as for places and people that, or Bob Marley, possibly, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not, but then I started looking at the European, I said, well, who does he have? And then I realized that they really haven't been pushing the aspect of having people to look up to. You see what I'm saying?
no need to.
Huh? Or,
No need to.
well, but by definition, I say that they're not really looking for us to aspire to anything.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, so let's step back to the money thing. I said, so why would they put her name on it? Sedron said it was so that we could own the debt. That was tying us to the debt.
Yeah.
Then I thought to myself, well, they had a bunch of Europeans on the debt for the longest time, so
Yeah.
they must still be tied to it. And anyone rationally looking at that would still go after the Europeans if it was really the face on the bill.
Yeah.
But it can't be the face on the bill. Because the face on the bill just represents the face on the bill. It doesn't represent anything.
Right.
And then I took it a step further. The bill doesn't represent anything either. It's just a debt note. It means nothing to anyone except for someone carrying it. When they come for you, they can ask for real value for that. But if I don't have it on me, it's not mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
it serves no purpose when
It serves
it's not
no
on you.
purpose. So putting her name on it doesn't even, in my mind, take that effect. Because the instant that we stand up and say that we no longer own any of this, it goes back to the Federal Reserve. Here's who's-
But which there's not even that, so
Well,
we
but
can't
that's
even
what I'm
go back
saying. But
there.
that's what I'm saying. Where the IMF is what I
Yeah,
really meant.
yeah.
To whoever was actually physically printing it, and that
Yeah.
then becomes monopoly money.
Yeah.
Which, so you see, I started to realize that something else was being said here because, or there's a bunch of layering going on, and
Yeah.
that is what I've started to. The next thing that I wanted to get you guys to start looking at, starting to look at things in more than one layer. Because I started seeing, because this is what the European, I think, is doing, and this is what I think this monetary stuff is. It's not really about.
Yeah, we need the fly eyes right now to see all the different layers at
Right,
once.
because it's not really about connecting, because then I thought, well, maybe it's about the so-called slave who's waking up saying, oh, they're respecting us.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But then I thought to myself, so what, now I'm gonna wanna carry more of those in my pocket because it's got her on it?
Yeah.
Is that really what, you know what I mean? Like, so.
You could look at it as another layer, just to throw another
But
layer
this
in
is
there.
what I'm trying to tell you. This is how I think we have to look at all this stuff because this is how they're operating. Nothing is ever done.
It's done
on that surface level.
one surface level.
right?
Yeah.
No,
That's what I was trying to
You
do.
could also look at it as a test to see them testing the people, testing the waters to see how awoke the people
Yeah,
are. Because
right.
if Harriet Tubman freed the slaves, we know those Federal Reserve notes are debt instruments. Debt being tied to being a slave. If you're in debt, so in past times, your debt would be paid off by your labor, which is the same thing because we labor for the same debt note and we get nothing in return.
So they're
So
paying
she
them.
put her face on
Yeah.
it. She's responsible for freeing the slaves,
Yeah.
right? Physically, though they use the fiat note to put people back into slavery, and now they're poking at you like, listen,
Actually,
we just put you back into, you've been back in slavery using this debt note, and now we put the woman who is responsible for freeing a certain amount of slaves out of physical bondage, we put her face on it,
Yeah.
and we're gonna see how much people are gonna see Wild Wild.
now you're right about that, but this is where I thought you touched on something there that I thought about. I think to a certain point too, there's a bit of what you would call contempt and satire to what they do for us. They're putting that on a certain rub. Not only is it certain to their advantages, but one of those 8 angles is about saying "f you"
Yeah.
Yeah.
to us.
Yeah.
If you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Because-
Because like straight punk off.
Yeah, 100%, that's what I'm thinking.
Because no, here's how I built on this too. Remember this. Harriet Tubman. Tubman, is that a Moorish name?
Yeah.
No, so she's part of the corporate thing too. Not to say that maybe she didn't wake up. She
Yeah,
could-
but-
she could have been
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
But
But
remember
based
this.
on the name,
watch
she's-
this. Check this out, and we have to remember this. She was so-called freeing slaves, but she was sending them to Canada, which was just another corporation.
Yeah.
So maybe she was just another one of the. Maybe she was another agent, just redistributing some of the.
Redistributing the wealth.
This just came to me now. Getting people to just mass migrate out to so-called here, which support. But you see,
Under the pretext of,
under
you
the
know,
pretext that we're freeing you, but
Yeah.
you're really just going into another corporate
Jurisdiction, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
She didn't send us back to. She didn't get us to Morocco.
Yeah.
She got us to Canada.
Right.
You know, but she was getting us to go north.
She's
So
smart.
I don't dispel the fact that in her heart, she was doing the best that she could do with the knowledge that she had.
What I'm saying is, if people were awakened as they're supposed to be, then the black people wouldn't be having this conversation of Harriet Tubman. Why do we care what face
What
you put
you
on
put
it?
on it, yeah.
We're
It's
not
a death
accepting
note,
that.
yeah,
That
yeah,
note.
yeah.
That's what the
Regardless,
conversation should really be.
No withdrawal on that. We ain't want
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you put on it. We're not
Yeah.
using it. That should be the conversation. We're not
Yeah.
using that. Take it back. That's
Well,
yours.
you see,
There's no
and
value in
and
that.
And that is, I think, where, when I had said that possibly that's what they're trying to do, they're trying to put a familiar on it, so that you then wanna have it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it doesn't even make
doesn't
sense
even
on that
add up, yeah.
level,
It
if you
doesn't add
see what
up,
I'm
yeah.
saying, because
And-
really,
and
when
when-
shit starts to fall, I'm not gonna decide I wanna have a Harriet Tubman dollar in my pocket,
yeah,
rather
yeah,
than,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that, to me, so that's what,
And-
I
and-
still, the jury's still out for me.
Our you know, collective thought on it, that we could all agree that, oh yeah, it's just another distraction
100%.
to get our people
100%.
not where they're supposed to be mentally.
I think that's
Like,
the
if
first
we're-
part.
Yeah, like if
It's
we're
a
gonna say
distraction.
that it's anything,
It's a
we
distraction.
could all agree that, you know what, you know,
Something's going
got
on.
him again.
Yeah. Something's
yeah.
going on and they want to distract the people.
Yeah.
100. No.
Yeah, because when they're making that decision, there's no, I guarantee there's no black person in the room while they're making that
There's
decision.
many black people.
Yeah,
in
the black, no more in there. There's a lot of black people in there for sure.
I mean, they come to that decision for some covert
Yeah.
reason why they're going to
Well,
do that.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
There's still some more shade in there. I think what people need to understand is that, first of all, the American, the so-called American dollar, is not tied to the continent. It's not tied to the landmass at all. It's a private corporation's paper. It has nothing to do with anybody.
Yeah, 'cause
Whether they're
you
European
don't use it to-
or whether they're Moors. It has nothing to do with anybody because it's a private corporation's paper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like us fighting over putting
Monopoly money.
yeah, Mike Tyson on Monopoly money. Like, yo, we want Mike Tyson on the Monopoly money. No, we gotta look at it in the same context. It has nothing to do with us. Who cares if they put on their own money? Or their own form of fiat.
Yeah.
That's their business. They got nothing to do with us.
Right.
You know what I mean? So definitely, I think the first thing is 100% distraction. They want to
Yeah.
distract the people, keep people, because it's all over the news. You just turn on the news,
Yeah,
it's all over
everybody's
everywhere.
talking about it.
Not too late.
Yeah.
It's the they're putting Harriet Tubman on the $20 U.S. bill.
Who?
Harriet Tubman.
Oh, I heard something.
I personally think it's nonsense.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Utter nonsense. I don't think it should be a conversation we should be, not us, but like in general, be having like, we all know the dollar ain't worth nothing. Especially if they're saying the U.S. is trillions of dollars in debt. Like, why are you telling me now you want, hold on, when they're admitting that the economy's gone to nothing.
Yeah.
Now they're
Now
gonna
they wanna-
now they
now
wanna
they
put their
wanna
faces
do-
on the
yeah.
bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
I just wanna hear too from the brother, I know you haven't been here for a while, you got anything that you know what I mean, questions?
No, nothing right off the top of my
Okay,
head, no.
well, if you know what I mean, if you get one,
Yeah.
speak up, because your perspective is huge too.
No, just saying like, same what he's saying, distraction, like that's the first thing that came to my head. Like same thing, but like, I hear some people talking about Donald Trump.
Well, this is all, yeah.
Saying that he's talking about 9/11, you know, he's coming out and telling the people the truth. I'm like, well, you know, people are so-called waking up,
Right.
so same thing with that.
How
Another
else to get
distraction.
voted
Like,
in,
oh,
yeah.
he's for progress, he's for the truth, and
Yeah.
it's like, no, can't you see, like, you're falling for it again, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well, I think what
Nonsense.
I think I've realized they do, it's like they've got this huge bag of shiny balls in
Yeah.
there to try and keep you distracted, so whatever the current is, whatever angle
we're
that
here
they
right now.
get,
yeah, and, you know,
it's
to keep up
talking.
with technology and
That's right.
people's social media and say, oh, okay, let's
That's right, see what
put
people
this
are-
out there
see
and
what
try
people are
to
talking
catch the
about.
bait, you know what I mean?
Maybe four.
Well, I think they're doing a huge amount of data collecting nowadays. I think with the way that they've now got
Yeah,
us
next week, yeah, every
LinkedIn,
Sunday.
that's where things finally changed for them.
All
They
right,
can
no
sort of
problem.
now, because you know, we basically got a personal locator on us. They basically, if they want, they can turn the microphone on and be listening to you. Like that's the technology Settenraw was telling me.
Yeah, yeah,
They've got a
yeah.
personal locator on you. They've got, they've got the ability to turn a microphone on and now and be listening to the conversation. Who knows what level?
Plus
Who knows
everybody-
Who knows if they don't got a black box setting where they could just send 50,000 volts through here and.
Well,
but
you seen those stuff, you know what I mean, burn down people's beds and stuff like that, where they got them plugged in while they're sleeping and stuff, so they could be doing that too, sending stuff through the thing while you're sleeping.
And one of the other things I was coming to too in the last couple of days, and I'll back down a bit here after this, but starting to realize that everything that they're talking about is really nothing that you really, well, not that it's nothing. I say 75% of it is really garbage, and 25% there are nuggets that you have to pull out of there and use those. But everything else, I start looking at sports. all sports is a form of distraction too.
Yeah.
So when you come home,
Well, more and more.
You,
Yeah.
you ain't thinking.
More and
You
more.
ain't, but that's why, if you notice, there's never times when there's no sports.
Peace,
How are you?
peace.
You notice there's never a
Yeah.
time when there's no sports.
Yeah.
They've always got something going on, eh?
24/7.
Huh?
Yeah,
24/7.
There's no off season.
There's no off season,
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah,
You
yeah,
think that there might be time,
yeah.
shut down, let's shut down for 4 months, all sports.
Yeah.
That would wake the people up. No, but
Yeah.
you come off of basketball, just when basketball ends, baseball's hitting its apex.
Yeah.
Just when baseball ends,
Football.
football's
Yeah.
running in. You see it
And
like
don't get
this
and FIFA, soccer's running
all through it.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
year.
just in case there was a
Right,
gap.
right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, and that's why I start to realize, because I'm keeping the cable and those things because the prophet said that he would tell me, but I start realizing all of the 90% of the news is really not what's really. It's not really what's going on. It's sort of what they really want you either focused on, or they're trying to send you some sort of half-assed subliminal message. But otherwise, you're not learning any from that. That's just sort of that's their propaganda machine in full force,
Yeah.
right?
Completely. Religious controversy. In this age, there is still much religious controversy as to the right thing. Big and powerful ministers has come to the conclusion that something is wrong. Some say it is the 10 Commandments. Others say there is a lack of sincerity in the purpose of the churches. Still others think it is all worthless and not fit for the time it takes to attend them. However, or whatever their final decision might be, it is certain they will make a change, or rather try to make one. The fact of the matter is that they have always had only a reflection of the truth and not the real thing. Like one who holds up to the sun a mirror and casts a few of its diverted rays in a different direction, so have they done with the truth that is supposed to have come from the east. There are but few people who know what the truth is about man, and that few know that it is foolish to try to impart it to the ignorant. Although the ignorant has finished college, he is a fool right on, being trained to jump through a hoop. The longer he stays in schools, the better he can jump, and the more vivid he will defend his jumping. From the east comes all light, but though the sun is hanging at high noon, the blind cannot see. The same is the Islamic creed from the east, was brought to the Asiatics of America by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, and offered to those who are sick at heart, tried for many years, yet they are blind and cannot see the light. Nor is the Prophet trying to put wine in old skins, for he knows that it will burst them. Still, he has the only remedy for the nations, the remedy brought by Yeshua, Muhammad, Confucius, and all of the other prophets, which remedy is truth. The nations do not want truth. It is too stern. But until they accept it and find out where it is, there will continue to be religious controversy. Any other questions?
Yeah, so I was reading the Romanus Pontifex, and I took notice of how they refer to us as Saracens, and also why they made a distinction between Saracens and Negroes. So I wanted to know more about that.
Now, one of the things that we have to acknowledge about the colonial powers is that they have the truth. How they put it out there, you know what I mean? That's up to them. But in their possession, whether we go to Vatican, Library of Congress, different museums all over the world, they have in their possession what the truth is. And the people have just like we were saying with the whole thing about technology and all that, they've willingly accepted everything else but the truth. So when we're doing our studying as Moorish Americans, we're gonna realize that there's many different reference points that we might not have had access to in our state of ignorance. And what Noble Drew Ali did with putting out all these writings that he did, putting out the newspaper, Holy Quran of the Moor Science Temple, 101 questionnaire, we realized that what he was doing was giving us reference points. He was giving us a timeline so that we can slowly trace ourselves back, then trace ourselves back more, and trace ourselves back more, so we can adopt the principles and the teachings and whatever else our ancient forefathers and forefathers had. So when we look at, where's the we'll get a couple out and see what a few of them are saying. Saracens. Another one there. And one more. Looking for Saracens. So they know that the Negroes, or people classified as such, as Negroes, that they are property people. It's a fact, it's a known fact, it's a documented fact that the jurisdiction of the Negroes falls under the colonial powers. That's all that they fall under. Negroes don't have any rights. Got no rights. Right? No respect. No honor. Right? And no every and anything else as far as the Negroes. You got Saracens?
Yeah.
So and I'll just read what dictionary that you got.
It's the American Heritage Dictionary. The first one is a member of a pre-Islamic nomadic people of the Syrian Arabian deserts. 2, an Arab. 3, any Muslim, especially of the time of the Crusades. Middle English from the Old English Saracen. Just go.
All right, so American Heritage. Start again. Give me those again.
A member of a pre-Islamic nomadic people of the Syrian Arabian deserts. 2, an Arab. 3, any Muslim, especially of the time of the Crusades.
All right. So, one dictionary, pre-Islamic, right? Which means not tied to the religion that we see today, right? Nomadic, which really are civilizers, not necessarily people just wandering, doing nothing, right? Arab, which ties to Arabian, and like the sister was saying yesterday, that she doesn't want nothing to do with Arabs and all that stuff. Oh no, I don't know about that, right? But not recognizing that Arab, Arabian also goes back to North African, right? Any Muslim, clearly making the distinction for all those idiots out there that like to say Muslim and Muslim is the same, clearly making a distinction, right? They didn't say any Muslim, said any Muslim. And then when we look into Muslim and the history of these individuals classified as Muslims, you're going to get into people who are people who are mystics. Next one.
Right?
Yeah.
This is from the New Century Dictionary. Saracen. Noun. Among the later Romans and Greeks, a member of the nomadic tribes on the Syrian borders of the Roman Empire. In later use in Arab, by extension, any Mohammedan or Muslim, especially with reference to the Crusades. 2. A Saracenic. Of or pertaining to the Saracens. A Saracenic architecture, a general name for the various types of Mohammedan architecture.
Right, so they added something onto it that the other ones didn't, and they said Mohammedan. Now, we'll just go to, this is what we're talking about with Noble Drew Ali giving us reference points, and that, you know, people could say whatever, but we have to acknowledge his brilliance in putting certain things in his literature to tie us to other things that we might not have known about. Muhammad was the founder of the Mohammedan religion. This is from Moorish Leaders' Historical Message to America.
Sorry, say that again.
Muhammad was the founder of the Mohammedan religion. It originated 13 centuries ago on Arabian Peninsula, where the streams of commerce and culture met and mingled in the Middle Ages, where the markets of exchange were stationed for treasures of India and the products of the Mediterranean coast. This religion was established in the unprecedented short period of 20 years, and unlike many other religions, without the aid of any royal patronage and support. Buddhism had its Ashoka, Judaism its Joshua, Christianity its Constantine, but Mohammedanism had no person of royal rank and power to assist in its establishment and spread. Today, this religion is acknowledged by nearly 250 million souls and extends over an area equal to 1/3 the globe. And just consider this statement that he made too. Today, this religion is acknowledged by nearly 250 million souls, not people. Right? So he's putting religion into this context that it's not about the body. It's not about doing physical things if you're saying that you're tied to some religion. Because really it's about the upliftment or the enrichment or the enlightenment of the soul. Right? And then that's also making reference to who are the people really. What really are the people? Are the people really their outer self, or is there a deeper aspect? Peace more. From Arabia, it spread eastward over Persia, Turkestan, Afghanistan, westward across Syria. Right? Under the definition of Saracen, they put Syrian in there. Asia Minor, Turkey, southward to Africa, covering more than half of that continent. It found its way to India and beyond to the islands of Sumatra, Java, and Borneo. To the early representatives of this faith, the world's debt is incalculably great, for it was they who transmitted the treasures of Greek literature from the Middle Ages to the Renaissance. Right? Another key word. They who originated the graceful forms of which the Taj Mahal, keyword again, and Alhambra, keyword again, are most famous examples. It was they who contributed to the science of algebra and chemistry, astronomy and medicine. They who dotted the Saracen Empire with universities and who built at Baghdad and Cairo the most renowned universities of the world. During those centuries of ecclesiastical despotism, when the Christian church suppressed all intellectual activities, they saved those that were theological, causing the talent that reproduces to supplant the genius it creates. Mohammedans did all in their power to encourage and stimulate research in every branch of human inquiry. The Moors as Mohammedans added to the beauty and grandeur of Spain. For centuries, art, science, literature, and chivalry flourished among them, while the rest of Europe was still sunk in the gloom of the Dark Ages. The Moors were the most ingenious and industrious of the subjects of Spain. Their expulsion from Spain in 1492 was one of the chief causes of decadence of that country, for both agriculture and industry fell into decay after their departure. So when Moors say to go out, when you come into this information, make sure you go out and get your hands on some old dictionaries, right? You see all the dictionaries that we got there are the hardback dictionaries, not the softback dictionaries. The ones that people say, you don't use that, can't use that, that's too old, we're going to bring the new ones because they're too big to carry around. We need the small ones so that they go in your pocket and all that stuff. We don't want those ones. Because the older dictionaries will teach you. The older dictionaries will teach you more stuff than the schools out here teaching you. Right? So the Saracens are tied to Mohammedans, and then Noble Juali told us in his writing that the Moors as Mohammedans, when they were in control of the Saracen Empire, right? So this is not just a group of individuals, another branch of, right? They had an empire at one time, right? And under that empire, they were pre-Islamic Arab, which you can say were any of the Muslims or Syrians that dealt with Mohammedanism. Then we have one more in the back.
So this is from the Consolidated Webster Encyclopedic Dictionary. It says Saracen, Latin Saracenus, from Greek Sarakinos, Arabic Sharakin, I don't know how to pronounce it, Orientals, Easterns, and Arabian or other Muslimen of the early and proselytizing period, by medieval writers employed to designate the Arabs generally, and at a later time applied to any infidel nation against which crusades were preached. Saracenical,
Right?
pertaining to the Saracens.
So now we're going to check out Orientals and Musclemen. Right? So this is how, when we say, go get dictionaries, or when we say, okay, go study, and then people decide to go study, but they look at studying like, okay, pull this book, read this book, okay, that's study, and then we're going to get this book right here, read this book, all right, I just studied, right? Studying is this. Every word that you don't know, look it up, it's going to break down, and then everything in the breakdown that you don't know, you look those up. So if we were to have a bigger board, this will break down to these, and then all these ones that we do will break this down, and then that'll have something going all the way down there. That'll have something going down there. This will have something going down there, right? But then when you look up Negro, that's just gonna have 5 things and that's it. Whereas this one leads you into historical, because when they say pre-Islamic, you know how far back that's going now. Because Islam has a particular place, but Islam and Mohammedanism is different perspectives. So Mohammedanism goes deeper than Islam. But then if you take Islam out and then you put the translation peace, then that's going to take you into something totally different as well. Right? So right now we're looking at Orientals and Musclemen. Anybody got Orientals? Shoot.
From the American Heritage Dictionary, the first definition is Eastern. The second one is usually capital O, pertaining to the countries or regions of the Orient or to their peoples, languages, or culture.
Same network, yeah.
3, capital O, ecology, of or designated the zoographic region that includes tropical Asia and the adjacent islands of the Malay archipelago. 4, lustrous and valuable, set of gems, especially pearls. 5, pertaining to or designating precious varieties or corundum, an oriental ruby.
Right, so Noble Drawley told us what? All the truth comes from the east. And when we look at them saying Orientals, again, when it comes to studying, you're gonna have not one, but you're gonna have multiple dictionaries so that you can get different perspectives from this one word that, majority of people, they don't have, libraries, right? They have bookshelves at home, but we should have libraries. We should have multiple bookshelves, right? And you should have, multiple dictionaries so that you can do this type of research when it comes to, finding out about your culture, because a lot of information, even though certain people are gonna tell you that, though that's the white man's stuff and all that and whatever like that, don't even listen to those people. Don't even consider their perspective. Because the reality is that a dictionary is going to teach you better than these schools out here, especially if you have a dictionary before the 1960s. Guaranteed that it would teach you better than these schools out here. Right? You got,
That's a P.
oh.
So you said you want. I guess the one that goes from A.
Yeah, they're not even that one. Try that one.
Well, I guess so. I prefer to Canaanland just next step into this. I guess
Oriental?
Okay, Oriental. Eastern, situated in the east, proceeding from the east, applied to gems as a mark of excellence, precious, opposed
So how
to
would you do that?
Occidental, Oriental region, Southern Asia, together with the western part of the East Indies, the Philippines, and Formosa,
Right? So,
and Asiatic.
oh. Right? So when Noble Drawley says divine origin of the
Okay, my internet for
Asiatic nations, he's tying us to Orientals. But if we tell the average person Oriental, they'll just think Chinese person or whatever. Right? Now we're also going to look up Occidental, since Oriental is opposed to that. So we should want to know what Occidental is, since we're finding out what Oriental is. And then Asiatic. And then you had which one did you get? You got there, Supreme.
I've got Oriental. Eastern, situated in or proceeding from the east. Precious,
so.
the noun. A native of the east and Asiatic.
I'm saying, can you step me through this?
Right, so those two have relative ones. So all of them related it to Eastern.
Did her say something about the islands?
Island or something.
What did it say about the islands?
Yeah,
I'm missing what I was looking for.
I know, you know, it's wrong, I'm classes at the front of the class.
Oriental region, Southern Asia, together with the western part of the East Indies, the Philippines, and Formosa.
So that would make anybody from the islands an Oriental.
Oriental.
They would never classify themselves as an Oriental.
Right.
Or see the similarities between them being
Oriental and
East. That's
right,
interesting.
right. And then that's how you can see why the quote unquote Orientals go to the islands.
All up in it.
Right? You know?
Makes sense, they're home.
And then you hear somebody look Chinese say, Bomba Clot!
You say, ow.
Like, what? Like, what?
Or you go to the market and they're running the market. You're like,
Yeah.
How did you find
this place? What are you doing over here? Oriental. I'm home. Right? Occidental.
Often capital O. Of or pertaining to the countries of the Occident, their peoples or their culture. Western. Usually capital O. A native or inhabitant of a Western country.
Right? So a native or inhabitant of a Western country. Occidental, Western.
And I think it's also important to note that when they're saying Western, they're putting it in their concept of Western Europe.
Right.
Not Western Hemisphere.
Not Western Hemisphere. Exactly. Right? Because right? So Oriental, Eastern, Occidental, Western. But Europe is in the East, not the West.
Yeah.
So when you hear the conscious community, black, whoever, say that the West did something to them, and they always relate European to Western, ultimately they're giving up their birthright. Because we're in the West. And we know that over here is home, as well as the East is home. But they have the people, like we were saying, somebody was telling me last night, it's like the place is upside down. Yeah. Literally, the place is upside down. People are turned on their head thinking that they're seeing how stuff's supposed to be. Right? Any more
Yeah, I got
stuff?
I got Occidental. I also got Occident, which is above it, which further proves what we were
Right.
just saying. So Occident, it says the West, especially Europe, as apart from Asia. So they're making a distinction of Europe being west of Asia.
West of Asia.
And then it also says European culture, etc., as distinct from Oriental. And then we have Occidental, which is further breaks down Occident, which is Western, of precious stones, inferior in quality.
Inferior.
And that's their definition.
This is what they're saying. Right? Inferior in quality. Inferior in quality. But then, what did they say in when we looked up the Saracen and those ones? They were talking about the people who were classified as infidel that the Christians conquered. So they know exactly that they're trying to create confusion, but they know that majority of the people aren't gonna do this and analyze it, right? To actually come to the realization that if you say Europe, not a continent. That's why they're classified as Asian, because Europe's in Asia. So if Europe's in Asia, then Europe's not a continent. And when they say Eastern and Western, Occidental and Oriental, all of it's relative to Asiatics. When they say European culture, they're talking about Asiatic European culture.
So is it fair to say on a grander scale that, and I guess this is why we hear a lot of Moors say, it's everywhere we go we're home, because at one point it was all Pangea.
It was all one.
So if we go beyond the breakup, we just see it as one.
Right.
So wherever we put our heads or our feet, we're home.
We're home.
We're not
Anywhere we go, we kiss the ground and say we're home.
We're not foreign to any part of the planet.
So question answered with the Saracen. Right? So Saracen is our fam. That's us.
Back to Saracen too, according to the Italian language, it means been here for centuries. Sarah,
Yeah.
sen, like centuries.
So they know it's something.
Been here for centuries.
And then that's how they do it?
Yeah, been
Just-
here,
Yeah.
Sarah, like right here for centuries.
Okay.
100.
Saracen.
No, I would agree with that. No,
Is there any other relative names that break down like this in Italian?
I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at it to see.
I'm just thinking about names that
okay.
Sorry, what was the last one you were saying?
S-A, sa, knowing.
so S-A.
Yeah, to know. So a variation of it.
Right, and then that goes right in line with what we were reading in No Juali stuff about algebra, and that they had all this information as far as the Mohammedans of the Saracen Empire, right? Which is verifying that.
Oh, right, okay, so that,
All right,
so those are the only two ways that you're gonna access the printer.
and this is why
The processing program,
we can't, as Moors, get into
connects to that
the Negro mentality of all Europeans, devils, and stuff like that.
printer.
Because they got info that they were taught when we were ruling where they were at. You know what I mean? And then especially when you're talking about different languages and stuff like that, if we never had Italian in here, we wouldn't have known that broke down like that. It wouldn't even be anything that we even consider that it breaks down like that. Right? And then it's back to the theme of learning to love instead of hate. Because the only thing that we're going to be able to really use to help ourselves is love, and recognizing that everybody comes from that one source, right? Everybody comes from that one source. Nobody is, even the hybrid species come from that same womb. So it's not that there's a real separation like that. You know what I mean? And they're gonna, the Moors are gonna point to, Joe Ali said, don't not amalgamate and all that. Well, actually, let's look amalgamate. What was the point that he was making?
Okay. To mix so as to make a unified whole, blend, unite, combine. To mix or alloy with mercury. To combine, unite, or consolidate. To unite or blend with another metal.
That's like alchemy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's alchemy.
I've got amalgamate from the Metal Standard Dictionary of English Language. It's to mix mercury with another metal, to compound, to combine in an amalgam, to blend, to unite with, united by agglomeration.
Now, when we look at the concept, it's, as the brother was saying, it's an alchemical process, right? And the point is that we shouldn't amalgamate with them, but there's nothing saying that they can't amalgamate with us. They should want to come back home. It only makes sense, especially if you have situations where from a nature perspective, as European nations realize that, well, they were talking about European women life expectancy dropping or something like that, right? So in order to boost that, you're going to have to get with the Aboriginal indigenous culture, or you're going to have to infuse melanin into the next generation in order to prolong your existence. It's going to have to go that way. There's going to have to be mixing, right? Our position is that we have to recognize and acknowledge that once that takes place, right? We know that amongst the European nations, that not everybody is the devil or whatever, right? Like we were talking about how there was yesterday. We were talking about how back in the day there was Europeans that'll kick other Europeans' asses when they call somebody nigger, because they took it disrespectful. They said that that's not. I can't respect that position as a European because I know what that is. And that's not right for another European to do that or whatever, right? These are Europeans who I still know today because they took that position of recognize real, right? So all of them aren't evil and all that stuff, which is why doors open for anybody to come here and learn, right? Which is why NY brought in Scientology because he realized that you can't shut up people who want to learn. You know what I mean? Like we were talking with the Hebrews. You know what I mean? The Hebrews are gonna call every European Edomite or whatever, but you know they got a phone plan from some European colonizer. You know, they got internet from some European colonizer, some Edomite. So it's cool to get internet from them, but you know they can't learn your stuff. That's hypocrisy. You know.
They're not taking responsibility for their children.
Yep. Which is what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? There was another testimonial that we had. One of the Moors got kidnapped in the week, and he had an interesting experience or whatever. Is there any other questions before we get to that? Everything went good with the stuff.
So we're just waiting to see.
All right. All right. Any questions relative to that? Everything was all right.
Just waiting for a response or lack of response.
Yeah, whichever way it goes. But you know, our thing is that, you know, if they
Hold on, we'll just see. Keep talking.
all right, if they respond, if they send something, if they do whatever with us, whether writing, verbal, or whatever, then we have the right to reply. You know what I mean? If they institute a cause, we should have an effect for them. You know what I mean? And our thing isn't to, like we were talking about earlier in the meeting. You know, we're not looking to get something from them. We're just doing our part of what we think is supposed to be done. We know that these people are colonists. We know that they, you know what I mean? They build, you know, skyscrapers, and they cut down trees and all that stuff to kill the bird life population. To you know, destroy the bee population. You know what I mean? Say we're live, right? To destroy the bee population so that they can keep instituting their, you know what I mean, abuse of power, their program. You know what I mean? If there's naturally no flowers, people are going to be more depressed. Just what it is. You know what I mean? If there's higher skyscrapers, there's less light, which keeps people depressed. You know what I mean? If there's no seeds in the fruit, people are going to be depressed. Like, you know what I mean? So, and they have to get people in this place, so people don't even have the energy to fight. They say, oh, well, whatever, you know, we'll just deal with it, it'll just happen, you know. Or they send me a letter, okay, I'll just go pay, or whatever like that, when, you know, who are these guys? Who are you paying? You know what I mean? You know, do you even have a contract with those people? You know, what's the purpose of them sending you anything in the first place? 10 years later, they send you something, pay, and then people just gonna go run do it. Just because they're trained to, you know, respond in that fashion, right? But yeah, that's because the brother's dealing with a CRA issue, and you know, they are, as we know, they're in debt. You know what I mean? And if they're in debt, they want to keep increasing the debt. So they're gonna do whatever they have to, whether they put stuff on people's cars out here to get them to give them more debt, or they send you letters, tell you pay something to give them more debt. They want to make the debt, you know, keep going up. The more the debt goes up, the more power they have. As soon as the debt starts decreasing, as soon as people start saying, you know, I'm challenging you on this debt that you claim I owe, you know, they're getting into, you know, things that they don't really want to get into, because now they're going to have to justify how they came up with it, where they come from, you know what I mean? Why are they doing what they're doing? And, you know, we know that they won't admit it, just like they never admitted to being who they are, coming over here and just wanting to colonize. You know, they put it in books and all that stuff, but you know, they're not gonna say it out their mouth, but they'll write it down and hide it in something. You had a comment, question?
No, it's just going back to what I was saying about the way the school system is set up, it's programming people to actually give these people authority. If you know that if you're called an indigenous person, if you are indigenous to the land, the colonist has no right to even question you. But because you've been programmed, you see a police officer, oh yeah, you start confessing this, you start confessing that, and you give them the authority to put you in the back of a car and drive you off to wherever they think that they have the authority to do, which they do not.
Right.
But you've been programmed from birth. Fear, exactly, which is the number one thing that makes people do all sorts of crazy stuff, is fear. Fear of losing your kids, fear of losing your house, fear of losing your own dog.
Yeah.
Okay? If they put that into you from birth, a guy steps up to you with a police across his chest and says, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and you've been programmed from birth, yes sir, yes sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Why? You know, like I've been battling, I've been in and out of court, like I gotta go to court Tuesday. They don't wanna see me again. I've known like 6 or 7 judges to just throw me out of the court.
Yeah.
Because I go there, I don't argue with no police, because the police don't know nothing. They're just like programmed robots.
Yeah, robots.
They're just robots. They're just here to take notes and kick your ass and put you in their car. No, basically, they're just thugs with guns, right? Because when I'm in court and I'm arguing with the magi, the officers are like, they're like, yeah, you could do that? And I'm standing there. It's a totally different scene when you go to court, because if you know that, you know, you got the magi up there, you're here, and the prosayer is actually you.
Yeah.
Which is why he could turn to the judge and say, well, we think he should go to jail. And then the judge will ask you, how do you plea, or how do you accept these terms? You have to say yes.
Yeah.
If you say no, I watched a guy, he had a $10,000 insurance charge, and the judge goes, will he accept these charges? He said no. They brought it down, well, 5,000. He said no. I watched it, he basically said no all the way down to like, they're like looking at this guy like, okay, then they give him a blank piece of paper, he takes it and then he walks out.
Yeah.
I've seen it, 20 years I've been going in and out of court. I gotta go to court Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it, because I like, from what I've known, what I've been through, and seeing how the court process, sometimes it's not even an actual judge that sits there.
Yeah, it's the dude.
It's just a guy, it's just
dude.
a guy. And you know, if you automatically give that authority to that person,
individual,
whatever
now they
he
got
says,
it.
you know, you're gonna take this as gospel.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
You just
and
gotta
they,
know your research, and you gotta be confident in what you know, because sometimes if you don't say the stuff that you know in court, they're not gonna help you. You don't even need a prosayer standing next to you, because as long as you say that you're improprious persona jure, I think I screwed that up. Yeah. He can't say nothing to you.
right.
It's just you and the judge.
And it's supposed to be like that simple.
Yeah, it's supposed to be you and the
It's
judge.
supposed to be
That's
that
it.
simple. As soon
And if
as
they
you
want to take you to trial, they gotta find people
Right.
of your
national peers
to sit next.
to sit on the jury.
Yeah.
Yep. And it should be that easy. But again, we're dealing with people who know that this is something, you know, we say it's new to us. So because it appears new to us, then you know they have some extra, you know, years or whatever, depending on who they're dealing with, to get through. You know what I mean? Because, you know, if we look at it from our perspective, you know, yeah, we have the information now, but we were supposed to have been on this information for the past 100 years, which would have shut them down back then. That now they wouldn't even be here now, having any claims. There'll be a whole switch right now out there if stuff was what it was.
Well, when we start suing them, then, you know.
Well, even when we go there, cause they have their diversity of citizenship clause that they're gonna use to get out of the suit. Like from Moors who we know that sued, you know, police departments and whatever, from the top down.
Right.
Then they go to court. Oh, those are Moors right there. Oh, sorry, we're European. They can't sue us. And then judge will, oh, you know,
That's a game.
diversity of citizenship.
But the naturality, that's what we really look at.
And that's really what it is.
We're not
Yeah.
looking for the fiat. We're
Yeah,
looking for
that's
the
really
freedom
what
to
it is.
Put it out there that diversity of citizenship, which means from now on,
Don't bother us.
Yeah, don't bother.
Right?
There's no more interaction.
Yeah.
That's
So
what we're
that's
really
like,
looking
you
for.
have to hit them in the pocket.
And that's really what happens. That once Moors sue them, you know what I mean? Like there's Moors that would sue and then they get mad that
They didn't win.
I didn't win. They threw it out. No, they didn't throw it out.
The next time
They
they're gonna
let
think
you
about
go.
it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're
but
saying
that's the thing. The
we don't want
next time
nothing to
they're
do
gonna
with
think
you.
about it though. The
Right.
next time they see a war step into the courtroom, they're like, oh,
Right.
I don't want.
Or even out there.
Yeah.
Because of the suit, you know what I mean? They know that this individual, you know, not only do they have the power to do that, but it's not gonna cost them anything to go to court. It's gonna cost us because we're gonna have to go get a lawyer because we're corporate people. As far as police or whatever like that, they're gonna have to go get a lawyer, $5,000 off the top. You know what I mean? Are they gonna be in court dragging this thing out for 3-4 years? Then they gotta pay. That's hitting them in the pockets, like what you're talking about. That they're the ones that are gonna go have to hire somebody. We won't. We're gonna go in there and do what it is that we do. You know? So yeah, suing them works to get them off your back, not to get something out of it because of an injury, because you have your paperwork says 500 an hour or whatever like that. So we're gonna sue you for 500 an hour times 80 hours that you had to be locked up.
They just come up with a number.
Exactly.
Okay, pay $10,000.
Right.
You don't even make like 10,000 like
yeah.
6 months. Like they don't
You
care.
got comment, Kenta?
No.
Okay.
About the diversity.
Oh, okay, all right. Any other questions? Let's deal with this thing right here. So if you frequented Canaanland Moors class, you've heard us talk about Brother Lanre O Bey, our brother that's Nigerian, proclaimed his nationality, and pretty much has been exercising as such since he proclaimed. Few times he got kidnapped. Last time that he got kidnapped, he was putting up a video after every court session that he had. It's on YouTube called My Name Is My Name. And his situation went from, him getting kidnapped to the end where the judge made prosecutor apologize to him and all that stuff. The judge made a ruling that because of his situation, judge made a ruling that any ID is acceptable once it has a picture and an address. That you don't need to show these people a license. Judge came out and said that. Even if you're behind a wheel, you don't need to show them a license. All you need to do is show them something with a picture and an address on it, and that qualifies identification, right? So at that last court hearing, his sister and Brother Tesba were at the court session, and some altercation happened or whatever like that, so all of them got charged or whatever, right? I think everybody got kidnapped for like a couple of hours or something. When his sister and Tesba went to court, their stuff got thrown out, no big deal, and they kept Lanre going back to court, which goes back to what Brother Omar was saying, that once you start standing up to these people, and to backtrack as well, Brother Lanre did about 8 years for a crime where he never committed. So they have him in the record. They have him on the file. You know what I mean? They know who he is and all that stuff. So as soon as they see him, you know, they already have something against him for getting off of the stuff that they try to put on him, right? So he got court dates from the altercation that happened at his court session or whatever, right? So he got some charges for that. So he had court. And he basically, based on what he's been through with it, he basically said, you know what? When court date came, he's like, forget you guys, I ain't coming to court. You know what I mean? I'm not going. Whatever you guys want to do, I don't care. Do whatever you want to do, I'm not going. So court date came. Then they called, you know, we ain't calling, we got a warrant for you or whatever. They're like, no problem, you know what I mean? I'm going to come down, turn myself in, no big deal, right? Because he doesn't care, right? So this was his, this is his testimonial with regard to how everything went down after he got kidnapped. He decided to go downstairs to meet them, so him and his wife can take the children to the park beside their domicile. At 4:20, he stepped out into a hallway and decided to take the stairs as usual, but saw two European figures through the door leading to the staircase. But I just pushed the door open and I was met by two undercover peace officers. They grabbed my hand and stated, "You know what this is about." They brought me downstairs and took me back to 52 Division. Anytime these guys kidnap me, I immediately go on a hunger strike, which I notify them of, and I don't take the medication from them. It just makes no sense to me. So I spent the night at the station and was brought to Old City Hall for quote-unquote bail hearing the next day. The same day that Prince passed and the fake Queen's birthday. But the Crown Prosecutor, Rebecca Edward, contested my bail. She even went as far as to call me up last. But since the day had ended, my bail was put over to Friday, which was last Friday. Keep in mind that Friday is Holy Day. So I ended up spending the night in the new Toronto South Jail, which gave me a chance.
Is he talking about Mimico?
No, the one at Lakeshore somewhere.
Yeah, that's the way they got me.
That's Mimico.
Is it? Yeah.
No, it's new. They rebuilt.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, brand new. Yeah, it's supposed to be some new jail or whatever.
With Wi-Fi.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi jail. These guys making videos from their cellars. So, which gave me a chance to minister to mans in jail. Got to reconnect with an old friend. The vibe was mad bless. Dropped a lot of knowledge on some folks, including the COs. So today, which is Friday, as soon as I got to the kangaroo court, they called me up and did their charade, and I got bail again with no conditions. Right, so go through all this stuff, right? Challenge bail and all this type of stuff to give him bail with no conditions, right? Make him sign himself out and all that type of stuff, right? Now that was weird. All that source wasted just to prove that I already know you don't have jurisdiction on declared indigenous people. Peace, bro. Sure, you may try a thing, but I know and you know that your power is limited. At first, I was upset about having to go spend the night in jail, but then I changed my thoughts and I knew that it was my chance to show and prove to the gods locked in there. So thank you, Brian Bennett, I guess that's the judge or whatever, and Rebecca Edward. By you both taking it personal, I became stronger. Soon you will learn to leave myself and the nation alone. It is written. Right, Islam. So we know that they move on force. Now, Lanre is somebody, and we use people who've been inside as an example to show people where they're supposed to be at when they deal with these people. Just like brother was talking about, no fear. that these people can't do anything to you. And even if they're about to do something to you, don't even give it any energy. Because that's just what they do. That's their element. Their element is to make you, you know what I mean, be reserved. You know what I mean, not forward. But like he said, went in there, I'm going to be on hunger strike. Immediately had attention of all the COs or whatever, right? Immediately, even though he's in their clutches, earned their respect, because all of them were asking him about it. You know, like, what are you, hunger strike? Like, what's going on? Nah, because you guys violating my stuff. So, you know what I mean? But then again, you know, it's also a way of getting out of getting the shot and getting this food and getting the whatever it is that they want to do, because if you're hunger striking, then they can't give you anything. TV shot or whatever.
It's sick, man. It's sick.
Now, speaking about, they don't even know what's in that. We talked about this before, but there's a brother who we know. You might be able to find his story online. Back in the 80s, he got shot by the police, and he's been having issues with them. You know what I mean, like raiding his house and stuff like that. Blah 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 for years. Like never fails. He always has a story about some highwayman. You know what I mean, doing something. You know what I mean, to violate him. This is like years later. So last maybe, I don't know, 2 years ago or something like that, he got kidnapped. Same thing, you know, kick the door in there, we're going to steal all your weed and all that. You know what I mean? So this is religious stuff, you guys can't steal my weed or whatever. Nah, we're taking your, so they took him in or whatever. And he's in custody, and one of the officers tell him, yo, you got a call, your lawyer's on the phone or whatever. So he goes, you know, he doesn't have no lawyer. I don't know what the hell this is. All right, cool, whatever. So he goes, hits the phone, and he's questioning on, you know, who is this? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Peace, yo. He's like, who is this? What's really going on here? You know what I mean? Right? And the individual on the phone who claims to be his lawyer tells him, no matter what you do, don't take the shot. This is somebody who he doesn't know. He doesn't have a lawyer. There's just somebody that just called him
and said they're a lawyer.
And said that they're his lawyer just to get him on the phone. Now, keep in mind that when he got shot, his shot was big case. Right? His shot was big case, like certain police lost their jobs, stuff like that, so they got vendetta against him forever. Right? Because, you know, like they shot him. Like he would, you know, car flipped over and all that stuff like that. He's in the car with the seatbelt on, you know what I mean, hands on the steering wheel, and man put two in the door. Bam, bam! And he didn't die or whatever. Right? So this is like late 80s, so you're looking at, you know, the whole thing about criminalizing our people out here starting to take effect. You know what I mean? You're talking about when they just started. This is you know, Regent versus Flemo beef and you know what I mean, turf wars and stuff like that just starting to kick off or whatever. So he didn't die or whatever. They're mad, so they took that out. You know, they took that on him for forever. They're holding this thing on him until he dies, he said. He's like, yo, these people are going to be against me forever, but they don't care. You know, he's Rastafari, you know, Jah Rastafari provide and all that. So this guy goes back now, and they're like, well, you know, since you're going to be here, you know, I'll give you the test, blah, 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 you know. And lady came up to him, and the nurse came up to him, you know. And she was just, you know, getting her stuff ready. You know what I mean? He's like, yo, what? What's going on? It's like, well, we got to give you the shot. The shot for what? Like, what do you mean you give me a shot? You know what I mean? You guys letting me go. Like, I'm not even in jail right now. Like, I'm in holding right now.
Yeah.
What am I getting a shot in holding? Oh, now we gotta give you the shot. You know what I mean? Because you might have somebody come in your cell and all this type of stuff. They were saying all this type of stuff. He's like, nah,
Sometimes
sorry,
they'll
no
tell
shot.
you TB or tetanus.
Yeah,
No, that's
right.
exactly what they tell you.
Yeah, right. So he's like, nah, no shot. You know what I mean? It's against, our religion. I don't take shots or whatever like that. Yeah, well, we got it, like they were pressing him for about 10 minutes about the shot. Then finally they're like, okay, fine. You know what I mean? They let it go or whatever. So to this day, he doesn't know who that individual is, right? He just knows that somebody's claimed to be his lawyer, to get him on the phone, told him, do not take the shot, right? And he didn't take the shot. Still around, pain in these people's ass, right?
That's something I experienced when they had me for hold up. And I went in there, so that, like when you have the intake, when they're taking you in, and then you have the, so there's an intake where you get out of your normal clothes and you get into prison clothes, and then there's like these glass offices with nurses in there, and like they're just feeding people like a cattle line, just throwing them in there, people getting shots and coming out. And I already knew that I wasn't taking any shots. I haven't taken shots in like 15 some odd years now. So I went in there. I'm like, let me see what the hell this is about, because they force you in there, right? So they have a CO, a CO in there, and a CO that brings you there. And so you go in there, they want to take your weight and your height and all this other nonsense, and then they start asking you about your vaccines and whether or not you're up to date or whatnot. So the lady that I had was I think she was a Hindustani lady, and she's taking my information, and I'm asking them, like, listen, like, what the hell are you giving grown people TB and tetanus shots and stuff like that? Like, you used to give that to the children back in the 80s and 70s or whatever, whatnot. So anybody now should be already up to date. So we're going back and forth, and she's like, yeah, well, anybody that comes in, because obviously they don't have anybody's medical records.
Yeah.
So they can't even look it up.
Right.
So what they're doing is giving anybody that comes in a shot. So I was telling her, I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't need that shit, but you have to take it. I'm like, nah, but I'm good. Like, I'm not taking no shots. I'm like, I can't verify what's in there. And then she starts going to tell me, I'm like, but listen, I can't verify that. And then the COs start buffing up now, like they're about to strap me to a table. They're about to strap me to a table. And I'm like, listen, you guys can put me in the hole from now. So I'm not taking no shots. So we're going back and forth, and we're arguing. And then, like, the lady, she seen that I was firm. I'm like, listen, I was telling them, I'm like, yo, listen, don't be no from now. I'm like, yo, I'm not even going to be here that long. Because it was one of the same things that happened at Lanre, where you go to court, they wait till the end of the day, and then they put it over so you're forced to spend the night. I'm like, I'm only here for the night. I'm like, I'm gone tomorrow. I mean, you guys can throw me in the hole from now. I'll stay there the whole day till tomorrow morning. So we're going back and forth, and then she's trying to find a way to resolve it. So she asked me, she's like, where were you born? I was like, I was born in Yamaka. I was born in aka Jamaica. And she asked me the year, so I tell her the year. And then she's like, oh, okay, well, you should be good then. And then she's like, lift up your shoulder, because back then, we all got the shot. All of us got the shot when we were babies, and it leaves a nasty scar on our arm.
Exactly.
Right? So she's like, if you show me that you have that, then, you know what I mean, like, we'll let it go. You don't have to go to the hole. I can convince these people that you're good to go. So anyways, I showed her the shot. But everybody else, man, they were just vaccinating everybody else. Everybody was getting vaccinated. And when I came out, everybody's like, yo, like, how'd you get off that? And I'm telling them, I was like, yo, listen, I told them I was sitting in a hole if they wanted me to do that shot. Like, I don't want no food, I don't want nothing. Send me to the hole from now till tomorrow. But then I realized, like, yo, that's definitely part of the agenda. Because a lot of the people that are going in there don't have no idea what they're vaccinating them for, or what they're putting in those vaccines, or what type of health conditions they have 5 years from now. Yep. They don't know how the hell they got this disease, or how they came across these different type of ailments 5, 6, 7, whatever years down the road where it might take an effect. And I'm thinking, like, how much people go in for, like let's say, non-violent offenses, like something like getting pulled over, licenses suspended, they spend one night in jail, and these guys are getting TB shots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how much thousands of people is this happening to on a regular basis? And 5, 6, 7 years down the road, they got some type of ailment and they have no idea how they
got it. That shot.
Well, not to come off a topic, but I just seen something recently. I'm not sure where I seen it online, but they're saying that they're going to make new legislation, so you have to take vaccination, so I'm thinking, did they already say that you have to take it?
Yeah.
Now you're making new
They're
legislation?
making those vaccinations for the young women that are in school now. When they get to a certain age, I guess it's like 16 or...
Sterilize them early.
I don't know what it is, but
Or so.
I was totally against it. And they're sending letters home saying, you know, you can't have your child in
school if she,
She
yeah.
doesn't
Okay,
have
so
it. I'm like, listen, she's healthy, she doesn't need that stuff. And they're basically pushing back like she can't be at school.
But this is the biggest-
She got suspended.
But this is the biggest thing. If everybody in there is vaccinated, the hell are you worried
What's
about
the
person
issue?
who isn't
Yeah, who isn't
vaccinated?
vaccinated?
It doesn't make any sense.
But the funny thing is,
The government shouldn't be in their health. The government, they don't even teach like
It's fraud, man.
like law.
Everybody in there
They
is
don't
vaccinated.
teach law. They don't teach math properly. They want to teach like sex ed and all that, like oral sex and all that stupidness.
but the funny thing is though, I thought it was already
Mandatory.
mandatory, so now you're bringing out new legislation, new
Legislation to
legislation
get to
that
say
you
it's
have to,
mandatory.
but-
Yeah.
So make up your mind, is it,
Yeah.
you have to do it or you don't?
Right.
But
They
yet
want
still
you
on
to.
their website,
They want
they
you to.
have an exemption form.
Right. They have a form.
A form where you
Yeah.
can just download it.
Which means that it's not mandatory.
It's not mandatory.
If they're gonna
And
give you
they're
an
coming up with
exemption.
new
Yeah,
so-called
they're
law to
changing
say
that.
you have to, like,
Yeah.
they're a joker.
Yeah. And then remember that you can always use quote unquote religion to get off all those stuff all the time.
All the time.
Doesn't even matter. You don't even have to be
Or sign in.
Jewish. Yeah, a rabbi signed something saying no exemption. You Jewish? Nah, but the rabbi said I don't need to get it. Here's the letter. And then you don't get it. You know what I mean? Because they're not gonna argue with the whole religious perspective. You know what I mean? They won't fight it.
In other words, they will tell you, they will ask you if that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
asked me that before I even know about the Mormons. When
Yeah.
I go to court. And I have one of those attorney guys with me. He's telling me that you can't go in there with your hat. I was wearing two hats, a peak and a come over.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said, I can't go in there like that. I said, what are you talking about? I bring you here for the ticket, not for my hat. When we get inside there, me and the judge will talk about that.
Yeah.
You deal with it.
You deal with the ticket.
And when I went in there, he said,
didn't even say nothing.
Mr. the judge, Mr. Is it religious? I said, yeah, you're right, it's over. That's it. He tell me religion. I never tell him nothing. I just say, oh yeah, it's
You just went with it.
end of story. You know, I didn't bring you here for that.
We got one more question here. I've been a member for some months now, and I also have my ID, etc. So does my missus, but we have a 1.5-year-old with no birth certificate because we refuse to contract her. Does the temple provide them? Do I need one for my daughter? Should I obtain the ID card? Well, we're saying before age of majority, you wanna you can do this on your own. Well, you can either, you could in lieu of temple or whatever. You and the missus create a birth record, which would have child's appellation, or we'll say offspring appellation, the usual, same thing just like nationality card. Eye color, hair color, height, weight, parents, signatures, and thumbprint. Alright, offspring appellation, the same information on the nationality card. Weight, height, hair color, eye color, parent signatures and thumbprint. And then the top of it would say affidavit of fact, birth record. You put that information on there, and then that'll be her quote unquote birth certificate. Right? If you have the information from when the child came onto the earth plane, put that information on as far as the weight, height, and all that stuff. Because remember that that certificate at birth, they use that until they get to age to get their own ID, right? And the verifiers or the witnesses are the parents that this birth certificate that a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old has is really belonging to this child or whatever, right? So the parents are used as the witnesses, even though the birth certificate is given at birth. Because you already know that, height's gonna change, weight's gonna change as the child grows, but they still use the birth certificate from birth to identify the child, right? But where we want to go is having a birth record as our record. And then what's supposed to happen is this is where this will be filed, opposed to them creating this and then taking it and then giving the birth certificate. You create one of these and then you file this with the temple, and then you have the original, put it in your Quran, and then that's verifying the birth. Because you don't want to get the ID if they're not, at least say at least 18, let's say. Because at this time, height, weight, and all that stuff is going to change more than anything else. And the point of having the identification is to show that you are what you say you are. So you don't want this stuff to be off on the birth certificate, on the nationality card. Because in order to get another one, then you have to go pay again, and then what's the sense, paying 50 times, right? But yeah, any questions regarding this? You guys good? All right.
Would you have one question? Would you have to say how you proclaim your appellation? Would you have to send it to?
Oh no! This is strictly your record.
It's your record.
Yeah, this is your record. And then if the offspring needs to be verified, then you have the record to show.
Okay. So
Just like you have a birth certificate to show, they don't care, they're assuming that if you have the birth certificate, it's because, it's filed, government has it or whatever, but they don't really know. They don't go check, we want to see if that's, they just want to see, okay, you got the little seal on it, it's got whatever. This looks like all the other 50,000 ones that we got, all right, cool, that's what it is, and they'll go with it. But just like with the paperwork, what I mean, the name declaration, paperwork, and all that stuff. These are things that were supposed to be done through the regency of the temple, right? And we're working on getting things back to that place, because you're still gonna have individuals that are heads of temples telling people, no, just go get a birth certificate and stuff like that, and not tell them about reservation of rights and things of that nature, So, you know, the temple function is supposed to be, you know, just like how they got Ministry of Transportation, Service Ontario, whatever, doing the things that, you know, quote unquote government does for the so-called citizens. Same thing that the temple is supposed to be doing for the members. And that's across the board as far as the temples are concerned. So it's supposed to be, you know, you have you know, some issue, you know, whatever, you're dealing with some issue, temple already has the template. Here's the template. You fill out whatever you gotta fill out, sign it. If you need witnesses or whatever like that, you witness everything, and then you know, you send it in, make copies, do whatever you gotta do with it, because this is what the purpose of this is. You know, to be a regency for the people to not have to deal with the pressures, let the pressures fall on the corporation that is dealing with that's dealing with the corporation out there on your behalf. You know, it's not supposed to be an individual, like you dealing with it. It's supposed to be dealt with on your behalf. But most of the time, you know, because of the corruption and stuff like that, and the misrepresentation of what this is, people don't even think that this is what it is. You know what I mean? Right. But everything, whatever it is that you have, whatever paperwork, documentation, like we're talking about vaccines or whatever like that, and you need something, you're supposed to just, once you're a member, bring your stuff, dues are up to date, all that, bring your stuff, it's signed, witnesses, whatever like that, doesn't matter. That's how it's supposed to be done, you know? Anybody, questions?
I have a question, but
It don't matter, whatever it's dealing with.
oh, back home. My man had some property, she want me to come take care of it. How do you go about it as a more?
Is it your family's
mother.
property?
My father left it to her,
Yeah,
and everyone is cool, but my mom says she's waiting for me to
yeah,
put it into my.
right. Yeah, it's really just to
My
put
sister
your,
is there right now as we speak.
Yeah.
And she said it's you. She
Yeah.
wants to come.
yeah, you would just put your free national name on it. Whatever they say, whatever paperwork it is or whatever, you're putting free national name on it. To lock it out of their, you know, it'll even be, it would even be better so for, it'll even be better so for, her to transfer it even in the form of will.
Oh yeah, that's what she wanna do.
Instead of putting the name that she's familiar with you, instead of putting that name, put your free national name on it.
No, that's what my sister was telling her.
Yeah.
About what I'm on, like
Right.
I think.
Right.
Because she's there now. But she said after she talked to my mom,
Right.
and I talked to her on the phone,
Yeah.
she said she wants me to come because it's to what she's understanding about the little that she know from me. There's two different places, like two different from great grandmother property and
Yeah.
from dad's place.
Okay.
She want me to because she understand when I have it, nobody they can touch it.
Right.
It's a whole. So
Yeah.
I understand.
And then we're looking at also too, you're looking at they might have their own things over there with regard to indigenous claims.
Yeah.
You know.
I require that.
Yeah. Cause there ain't nothing. Ask them questions or whatever. They'll tell you. You know, you already know how it goes, you know, Fez is up and they open the doors to you. They give you whatever it is that that you ask for. You know.
Yeah, I just heard this week in Jamaica on Scene TV, they had 5 Aboriginal groups marching in Jamaica.
Yeah.
So
So word's getting out. Yeah.
they're getting
Word's
recognized
getting
now.
out. Yeah. Right.
It's good.
Don't get it twisted, man. They're all Aboriginal.
Yeah.
Just don't know what
They just don't know. You know. And once they realize, you know, once it clicks,
Like
they
anything
realize that, hold on a second, we're the All these people, it's time for them to, you know what I mean? Yes. You know,
The Jamaicans, they adapt things very fast.
yeah.
Very.
Good and bad.
Good and bad. Thank you. Good and bad. And they invent them too. Good and bad.
Straight.
Yeah.
Straight up. There was a couple other readings before we close out. With regard to Islam, what is Islam? Islam is a very simple faith. It requires man to recognize his duties towards God Allah, his creator, and his fellow creatures. It teaches the supreme duty of living at peace with one's surroundings. It is preeminently the religion of peace. The very name Islam means peace. The goal of man's life, according to Islam, is peace with everything. Peace with Allah, peace with man. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, tells us that the final abode of man is the house of peace, where no vain word or sinful discourse will be heard. The holy divine prophet Noble Juali says that a follower of Islam is in the true sense of the word, one whose hands, tongues, and thoughts do not hurt others. Object of man's life, according to Islam, is its complete unfoldment. Islam teaches that man is born with unlimited capacities for progress. Islam does not support the idea that man was born in sin. It teaches that everyone has within him the seed of perfect development, and it rests solely within himself to make or mar his fortune. The cardinal doctrine of Islam is the unity of the Father Allah. We believe in one God, Allah, who is all God, all mercy, and all power. He is perfect and holy, all wisdom, all knowledge, and all truth. These are some of his great attributes so far as we can understand. He is free from all defects, holy and transcendent. He is personal to us in so far as we see his attributes working for us and in us, but he is nevertheless impersonal. Because he is infinite, perfect, and holy, we do not believe that death, decay, or sleep overtake him. Neither do we believe that he is a helpless, inactive, and inert force. Nothing happens without his knowledge and will. He neither begets nor is he begotten, because these are the traits of frail and weak humanity. The unity of Allah is the first and foremost pillar of Islam, and every other belief hangs upon it. Think this over, you Moors. All sheikhs, grand sheikhs, must prepare for the Prophet before he comes to visit them. Must see to it that all is clean and in perfection as far as comfort is possible, or otherwise don't arrange to have his presence. All members should pay from 25 cents to 50 cents weekly toward the emergency fund. This fund will increase so that there will soon amount the grand sum of $1,000. That is, if you are loyal Moors. The emergency fund goes into the bank. The treasurer will tend to the responsibility of seeing that the money is in the bank. Yes, and under the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America Finance. When needed, act according to the law pertaining to the procedure of performing an emergency act. No head of any said temple is to borrow from any member more than $5 to $10 unless by notification of the Prophet. The necessity for the loan. When any said temple desires to purchase property, they must first notify the Grand Body or the Prophet, and it must be purchased under the name Moorish Science Temple of America or Noble Juali. An individual name should never be applied. I, Noble Juali, am responsible for all finance, so therefore let I, the Prophet, know what is on me. Some of you have slipped and slipped drastically, so you had better lace up your shoes before I get there. Everything, every business transaction, or anything pertaining to finance is to be transacted in the name of Moorish Science Temple of America or Noble Drew Ali. We Moors must maintain a grand treasury, just as in the days of our forefathers. Then you are a nation. Until then, you are nothing. The emergency fund is issued by no book, but by an emergency card punched according to contribution, then marked on the book. That is the law, and the law must live. The government is behind me, and I must get behind you, for I must uphold and enforce the law. My mission is to save you Moors. The heads of all temples, grand sheikhs, grand sheikhs, must conform to the divine principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. They must live the life among the members and be loved even as the Prophet is loved. They must not practice the principle of segregation among any group in his or her temple. Let it be he or she that is head of any temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that if there should come any grievance that cannot be settled by the head, notify the Prophet at once. No member is to attend Adab chamber that has not lived a moral and clean life, and has not paid his or her dues or assessments, providing that he or she is working or able, cannot consider himself a Moor. But traders must be excluded from the books after having a fair trial by the head of their temple, and that must be sent to the grand body. All members that are able to subscribe towards the uplifting fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. And those that are able and fail to act are not Moors but traitors to their cause and trust and their nation, and are not allowed to share all the Moorish honors. And the penalty is embezzlement of the faith of our creed. All heads of all temples must observe these laws. Divine warning by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. General laws as said by the Prophet. Every temple and head is to function by works, deeds, and actions imitating the Prophet, especially when teaching a group of Moors, any group of Moors. These are the general laws. The supreme laws will be handed to you later. The heads of all temples are to submit a report monthly of all finance. The heads of all temples are to refrain from all wrathful words, profanity in the mildest form, from all the members of his or her temple. They must live the life of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and refrain from all alcoholic liquors or any other harmful possibility that will terminate to destroy peace, or any other of the divine principles. They are not to contribute to anything that will cause the public to disagree with him or her. And for one to lead a group of Moors, you must keep your house clean, clean with good deeds, kind words. Your wives, brothers must hear good works, kind words, and must know of your good deeds. If there are children, you must see to their support. Follow this divine principle, for if you don't restrict to this divine principle, then you are not a true Moor. And the heads are not to charge for membership, or to overcharge for cards, buttons, or for anything issued by the Prophet. Those who contribute to either of the preceding are not Moors but robbers. Membership, sisters and brothers, is free, not only here but all over the world. The button is 25 cents, the card 25 cents, and 1 month's dues paid. Every member pays 50 cents a month for dues. This money goes toward the support of the temple. This, if not paid, does not entitle you to the protection that is provided for you, and especially if you are not working or in a position to work. If you neglect to fulfill this small duty assigned to you, how can you rightfully expect money or other help when you are sick or otherwise disabled? And to be a real Moorish leader, you must study the Quran and divine constitution that is handed down unto you by I the Prophet. The head of all temples can maintain an emergency fund which cannot exceed the amount from 25 cents to 50 cents per week per member. All public collections and dues also go to the support of the temple and its domestic work. The head of every temple must by law obey the word of the Prophet, and if any head leader or head of any temple fails to obey these laws, embezzlement is his charge, and is subject to enforcement of the law by the grand body, and the penalty may be a fine or removal from office, or placed under a heavy restriction of the law. Supreme words of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Any questions, comments before we close out? That's good. Nothing? That's good. All right. So we'll be here again next week, Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. If you haven't, make sure you frequent the website, rvbaypublications.com. We're supposed to be getting some Qurans and stuff in next week. 101 questionnaire, oral statements. We also just picked up, we got some oils over there, body oils. I think those are 20 notes for those. 15? 15?
There's men and women.
All right.
I got the man one. It's like earthy. It's not perfume. It's like really earthy. It smells like a woody.
Yeah.
A spicy woody smell.
Yeah. And as usual, books are labeled. DVDs 3 for $20, and T-shirts in the back. We're supposed to be getting some more stock of T-shirts in. We're going to be having multiple sizes as well. We're going to be doing personalized images. So if you have any personal images that you want on T-shirts, it's going to be 20 notes for that. And I think that's about it. And
do you have Moorish Heritage in the Americas by Tosh? Do you have that one?
The DVD?
Yeah.
No, we don't have that one. That was a Sabir DVD.
Okay.
So we don't usually copy his stuff. But I think that full one, the full one's on YouTube. You could probably just convert it, just download it and burn it. Probably the easiest. But yeah, that's it. So we'll just close out. Thank you for everybody being here. Islam to all the Moors online. And we'll also be doing we got our online class on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. online. Feel free to sign up to Ustream TV, so that way you can connect with the other Moors that's in the chat and stuff like that. And one more thing, majority of Moors that we talk to outside of Canaanland always express, their thank you and their appreciation for the Moors in Canaanland for changing the paradigm of the Moorish movement a bit and being open to, to everybody. So the Moors worldwide tell the Canaanland Moors thank you for their diligence and being ourselves. So Islam to that. So we'll just close out, face the east. 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, to His holy prophet, noble Jew Ali, Islam, Ashe.
Homeboy was upset.
Huh?
Homeboy was upset. What?
Yo, what? That went off, bro.
Listen, I didn't know you get down like that.